think are going to be picked up first or banned first in this situation for both teams?
I think this out of any series could be very much the series where you do some target banning. We're
Mm,
obviously talking about our beloved, Feng Mao OTP on the one end, and then it's coming through. But
mm.
sometimes teams just don't really see it, and they want to go for the meta bans. I think this might be one of the more unpredictable drafts that we get today, which could just be like you could say these teams have nothing to lose anymore because they can't get to the finals. On the other end, you could also say third place is better than fourth place, so it's an honor battle, and it's
Yeah,
all about that mentality, how you come into it, and that might decide their draft a lot.
I can definitely see that playing into it as well. Nobody wants to be the person that's fourth place, at least getting something. But like, we're a top three team. But seeing that Quang was just a very high caliber hero, according to pretty
Mhm.
much everybody that's been playing him this entire tournament. I'm kind of seeing that as well. But with the Richter and Rampage, there's also some very big heroes that can be banned out immediately here. As we do know, Import does like to play the Richter, especially could either flux to either support or in multiple different roles, such as the jungle. But Rocket Rookies with that team comp, that Quang, they just like to have that Quang in the off lane. So definitely have to prioritize what they want out of these team pick comp picks as we go into the first ban.
There you go. Quang, too beloved by Rook and Rookies for imports back to risk it. I get it. First ban, you don't get the first pick. You kind of want to go into it that way. Yeah. Now, and then you got, like you said, it's either Rampage or the Richter. Usually, it's going to be the Rampage in this occasion. Not, I
Yeah.
mean, we talk about it a lot. It's like, oh yeah, Rampage being banned out, and every now and then, I personally wonder, like, wait, why do we ban the Rampage out? Like, I get it, but on the other hand, I would personally prefer banning the Richter. But it also depends on what you want to play versus what you want to ban, right? Like, what do you want to play with and versus rather? And the Rampage just seems to be a bigger problem in everyone's mind.
I think it kind of has to do with that early game potential.
Mhm.
Richter has a little bit harder time clearing in the early game, and it kind of relies a little bit more on his hook to really get something off. Or sorry, not more rely on somebody setting him up for the hook. So having that rampage early game, being able to be a little bit more mobile, kind of just allows for that pressure to come out from the jungle side as well.
Well, the Richter is being picked up by imports backpack as a result because it is available. We talk about the
Yo,
top three bans, and then of course the third one gets picked, and then a Decker on the other side, also very understandable. I mean, I'd say we have solidified our support matchup here, which range versus getting people closer to you, containment, silence. There's a lot going on between these two.
mm,
The matchup is interesting, right? Because well, if Decker gets hooked, she is very easy to take down afterwards because of lower health pool, etc. But you can also deny so much more with a stasis orb than you can with a Riplash.
yeah, and I totally agree there. But also, one big potential here is Richter could also be flexing multiple different roles, so that can also be a
Could
thing
be,
to where
yeah.
they might be able to pick up somebody, be able to counter that Decker now that that hand has been showed. But they also pick up the Lieutenant Bellica here, which we know with that just pressing your R button kind of just deletes people, especially if you're low on mana. But she's not only just strong in that aspect of a mage, but also being able to be flexing support. And we know we haven't seen too much of a Decker inside the mid lane role, but we do know it is definitely viable in some cases,
If
depending
there
on how
was
the team
ever a
plays.
game for it to happen, it would be this
This would be
one.
it.
No,
100%
for
agree with you
sure.
there.
The Drongo. I mean, can we really be surprised this comes out from imports backpack at this point? Early commit to the ADC though. I will say that I don't know
Mm,
if I would personally like to pick it this early. But I do get it. JuliLatina did feel pretty good on that Drongo so far. Has been outmatched a couple times, but not enough for it to warrant a different selection. If that's the most comfortable ADC you have, might be able to secure it early.
yeah, I mean, just kind of taking that away from Rocket Rookie is also a huge point to have. But now we see the Howitzer for Imports Backpack. We know this is
Ooh.
kind of one of Wangle's staple characters besides the gadgets going into the Howie here. We saw him playing an excellent game with it, but just wasn't enough to get them into that big grand finale. But now we see it here again, allowing for that high single target damage. And with that Howie mind, just being able to boop, kind of separate or kind of get you out of some sticky situations.
Sevarog, I mean, what can we really say anymore about it? It's just a solid pick in the solo lane, right? Like you could
Mm,
send it into the jungle, but at this stage, I don't think it has anyone done it this Fang booth. I don't think we've seen it come through, right? Fang Several
not
jungle.
quite yet.
No,
No.
yeah, yeah. I don't. I mean, again, this would be the game to do it if you're gonna do it at some point, but I doubt they'll pull that through. And yeah,
Mhm.
like you said, Wangle's it's so solid on that howitzer. I mean, despite how the previous game turned out, that was definitely one of the the highlights of that team. So we'll see if they can pull that into a win this time around. As we do see the Chimera ban come through. I mean, I get it. A lot of jungle potential has been taken away now for both teams, which does mean that the jungle can be a much more interesting place than we see it happen all the time, where one team has the Chimera or the Kwang and the other team doesn't have either. So now
Mhm.
neither can go with that option.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the opportunity to ban out the steel here on imports backpack, it's also kind of just funneling that. I mean, we still have those other characters and other heroes that are a little bit less comfortable to play that we have not seen too much, such as the Saris, the Zarus inside of the jungle. So there's still a lot of room to kind of grow there since there's such a huge hero pool to play in that
Right.
position.
Who we have
Um,
left? Zara's Greystone. We can also go for like the more squishy assassins, and we see a Kalari come through, a Countess in the jungle, something it can always be pulled up if you really want it. So there are some options left. I don't. Yeah, I mean, I see why the Murdoch gets banned out. Honestly, obviously, because if they're still need ADC on the side of Rocket Rookies. Don't know if that would be
mhm.
the one that I would have banned out in terms of ADCs that are left.
He just brings so much to the table, able to just use that global ultimate, just being able to pick somebody off and just not having to necessarily be in a 5v5 team fight at all times of the game just kind of gives them a little bit more of an advantage. But I do agree with you there. There's also some other strong picks. We've seen the Kira be very strong throughout these matches. So that's also another viable as one as well, being able to kind of just take her out of the field. But I think just going towards Rocket Rookies, they're trying to get the comfort characters banned. But as we see the
Mhm.
steel being picked up by Rocket Rookies, now they're having two big beefy boys, a lot of CC, a lot of health and protections to tear through. So it's going to be a little bit of harder time on the side of imports. So you have to carry a lot onto that Drongo and Howitzer.
Yeah, and Rocket Rookies does have a lot of experience playing with the steel. Obviously, so it's just as a team, it's a boon for them to have that character on their side. Greystone coming from the other side. That's still again between the Richter and the Greystone and whatever their fifth pick will be. There's still a bit of a question mark who goes into the solo support and the jungle, but Greystone overall is a solid pickup, and we do see finally that Fang Mao come through. Not on the side of Rocket Rookies, where people might sometimes expect it, but it's coming through indeed. And that's still, I would say, now it's a question mark between Greystone and Feng Mao, who's going to go jungle and solo. Richter is most definitely a support at this stage. Yeah,
Yeah, definitely see that as well. But
I've
the
seen Greystone
Greystone,
supported in my games, but let's not talk about those.
let's not talk about those. Definitely do see Greystone being more viable in the jungle, especially if you're going to go to Sevarog. He just trades well into it, can push his early game, put it down. But there's that Kira we were talking about earlier. So this is
Mhm.
definitely still a strong pickup, and both teams looking like they're rocking with a great team comp overall.
No.
A lot could go in different directions, but we definitely have to go get into the game to see how this one plays out. But for me, and for men of class, we're definitely going to have to get that going. But in the Twitch chat, you guys could let us know who you think is going to come out on game number one as we head into game one here to see who can go fight for third place.
Yeah, overall, there is a little bit more CC on the side of Rocket Rookies. They're going to be able to stun, block, and just overall bully their way around the map a little bit more. Just in terms of everything they've got going. I think the Kira is the only one that doesn't have any form of CC on their side. And then on the other hand, yeah, I mean, Import and Nas can be very in your face, very aggressive about it, but they can be corralled away quite easily. You're really going
Mhm.
to rely a lot on even potentially the howitzer concussion mine of Wangle. Like that one might have to be used as a CC option more in team fights than it otherwise might have to be, just because of the amounts, and again, vast amounts of CC that are available on the side of Rocket Rookies. You might actually have to see some anti CC item buys on the side of Imports Backpack just to deal with it.
I mean, it's going to be huge coming out, especially that it's just so concrete when it comes to a steal. He kind of just is probably the easiest hero to land any amount of CC ability on top
He
of
got so
your enemy
many.
opponents.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's literally his entire kit, even going with his shield wall to apply that slow. Even though it's a little bit more on the softer side of CC, it's huge. So you see Tarkov and Nas here just kind of going a little poke battle as he's trying not to let him inside that lane. I don't think this is going to be too much of a great trade as both are going to go outside there. I think Greystone should be able to win this.
Yeah, I mean, it's of course, not really a great matchup for Sephiroth, anything that wants to play aggressive early game. But it is generally speaking a Greystone thing, just being able to do that damage, especially if you get that right ability, the first ability right, that just ups your damage a little bit more. That's not going to be something that's available to Sephiroth as much. They just keep poking away. But Wangle taking a vast amount of damage here, losing the early level 2 as well. So they just got to sit here and hope they can get some XP and health back, or they can get helped out by their jungler really early on.
Yeah, and the blink forced out on Tarkov there by Nas. So that's going to be in the early game pressure coming out on two different ends. One coming out in the offlane for Rocket Rookies or for Import Backpack, and then Rocket Rookies taking that lead inside the mid lane. We're gonna have to be careful though, because Fengmao is on that two camp. Belka obviously pushed up a little bit, and we did see that knockup hit, and possibly might be able to get a kill here as he's only one auto away, and Simmy has to force the blink, missing an auto attack. But stays here too long. Import looking inside this mid lane with the blink
Oh,
down,
they want
able to
him.
catch up. But Ink here might be able to stop that. Knockup hits and a huge damage coming out. But
Oh
can Import
no.
get it? He kills not, and that's first blood. Put him on the board, and there it is. Rocket Rookies taking that first lead.
Everyone was looking at it like it's either gonna be Wango or it's gonna be that Bellica, but nope. Turns out it was gonna be the Feng Mao that goes down first. A lot of low health bars around the map as well, mostly on the side of Import's backpack. Nas finding Tankraf but going down at the end, and there's the hook finally landing. A lot of early eliminations here, F6. We had 4 on the board, and we were less than 3.5 minutes in. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, they also picked up two kills or a kill up over inside of the off lane, battling it out trade for trade. As we see this third place match already starting to be just a little bit more on the aggressive side, coming out swinging indeed. As we do see it though, it's still 2-2, very close game still, even though it's very early start towards the aggression. Got the river buffs out of the way, but as we look towards that 5 minute mark, who do you see kind of having the advantage going into that first neutral objective?
It's going to come down a lot to positioning, honestly. But if you're talking about pure, or what does this team comp do versus the other team comp, Rocket Rookie should have the control of any area they want to control just by the sheer force of CC they have. Like that's just what it's kind of come down to. Not just that, they also have the health bars of the Sevarog and the steel being in the way. The barrier of the steel can be very important. So if you want to go for a neutral objective, whether you're defending or attacking, they can take over an area and put down their just stamp on it. They can plant the flag, say this is ours now. And if you don't want to, or just throw you out forcibly. That's going to be their MO. Later in the game, that's going to be a little harder to do just because of the sheer amount of damage that will come out from the side of Import's backpack. But they have to get there first. They have to scale a little bit more.
I agree with you there. Zeyn getting caught out, and it looks like it's going to be a 2v1. Has to force the blink. Do have Julie topping down that silence, but Zeyn with that blink down is going to be a little bit rough. Misses the Riplash. A lot of blinks started being blown out within the first 5 minutes. A little bit more attention focused towards this mid as we see Import rotating in. Does not have the blink on the Bellica, so Sumi's going to have to retreat back to Ink here to get some safeguarding to get herself back into the lane. And I do agree with you. There's a lot of CC on top of Rocket Rookies to be able to allow them to have that presence inside those neutral objectives. But 1 second here as Nas getting that pressure back on the Tarkraf Requiem as he's forcing him to run away, and the ignite hits, just applying that slow. Tarkraf not having the lane he wants to have as he's trying to farm up and get into that late game Sevrog.
He is at least effectively using his mana. Like all his mana is indeed gone by the time he has to potentially recall. Now Simmy might actually be in trouble, gets chased down by Import and Wangle. Will they have enough damage? They should, right? Yes, they do. Simmy finally goes down. They went hard for a little bit, but in the end, they have to go to spawn as well. And Import's backpack taking that early kill lead, but not much between them if you're talking about an elimination. Very early in the game still. And with 6 minutes, we're going to start thinking about these objectives a little bit more now.
Great pickup there coming out of Import's backpack to get that Belica out of the way with no blink, no more mobility inside of the kit. Not going to be as well for her. As you do see now over here, Import's backpack getting that pressure. Riplash misses, unfortunate. And that is just going to have to fall back as they're going to might be able to potentially get a freeze inside of this dual lane. InkLegend over on his blue side, taking a nice little look as Zeyn's trying to get a deep ward. If any mistake happens here, InkLegend is on the chase on Zeyn. He does not have the blink, so he has to be aware of that. But back to a low state, as you take a look at this tab screen, not a lot of leads anywhere, as looked like to be a pretty even matchup.
Yeah, even in the items, right? Nothing weird is happening just yet in terms of the land of items, as we want to call it. The shops have been picked clean of the standard stuff. Could shift a little bit more. Like we said, are expecting to see some more anti-CC items coming out, but there is this dual lane skirmish starting.
And then Ink goes going to try and get into the back line, but Zeyn without a blink is going to go down, and that's going to be a 7-minute kill as you do now have both neutral objectives up. But Simmy goes hard, but Make It Rain comes down on top and is going to have to run. But with Import rotating through, Simmy might be in a bad position, but here comes the reinforcement. Import forces the blink and picks up Simmy, and that is a 1-for-1 trade. Now, with that pressure outside, and Ink has to back here. This Fangtooth might open up a little bit with the rest of Import's backpack coming in. And that right there is just a great pickup once again by Import's backpack.
They're not going to go for the objective, though. I don't think they had enough people nearby that they really wanted to risk it with that low respawn timer still. There will still be a team fight if you go for it. But that is like a moment where you could decide, we go Fangtooth now. 7 minutes, 8 minutes, ish. They're just they're not feeling the pressure just yet. I mean, again, still early. There hasn't been more than a kill between these two teams just yet. And the ultimates are starting to come online. They're not even there yet for most of the players.
It's not indeed. Riplash again misses from Zeyn. Not able to land as many hooks as he wants to. But Nas over in the side of this off lane, keeping that pressure up, trying to keep this lead, trying to give Import the safety of not having to put too much attention over into this off lane and kind of focus on the rest of the map as we see him been doing. But since he's over on the blue side, a huge colossal blow forces out the Stoneforge Soul though, and is gonna have to turn that fight ultimate for ultimate down. But we do know that colossal blow is gonna come back up way before. As we see InkLegend though, noticing that the ult is down, he is level 6, waiting for Nas to be a little bit aggressive, but here comes the opposite gank. And now, who's going to really take that initiative to make the action go off? And it looks like they're just going to call it back. Green buff's going to go over to the side of Import's backpack.
I really like when both junglers arrive on the solo lane at the same time, where it's like, oh, we both wanted to gank, and now we both don't get to. A little bit of the face-off going in that situation, the stairs with the lightning flashing between them, but nothing actually, going down. InkLegend's still waiting, though. They're like, oh, we're waiting to hear the coast is clear and that Feng Mao is definitely gone, but now Nas is too far forward. If they're back, they're going to back as well, get their items, and we're going to go back to the dual lane because Zeyn and JuliLatina are still being pushed into their tower a lot. Like Gak has had their number so far together with their Decker, but yeah, I mean it's ultimate o'clock, right? Like we're waiting for these ult fights to start happening a little bit more.
Yeah, but we see Import noticing that they might be out of position. For Samwise, it's not going to be a lot too much. Gag has to be forced to use the blink as that rotation comes in handy. Wangle back into this middle lane. And now with that force of the blink on Gak, he's going to have to be careful. He does have a little bit more mobility in his kit, unlike the Belica. So should be able to get out of some sticky situations. But one hook and it's kind of over for Gag in that situation. We're looking at still kind of just back in this low state. Wangle trying to be aggressive. No neutral objectives have been taken yet. And these builds are starting to come online. Combustion first on Wangle.
Yep. All the towers are up. All the neutral objectives are up. It's 10 minutes. It's time to start something here. Both teams are looking for it. It kind of feels like they're not really willing to force an objective. They're really waiting for someone to either make a mistake, work a little bit too far. They're going for the sure picks. And that is a sure pick right there.
And that is going to be one down on the side of Import's backpack. This game's now even and up to par, but Import and on the hunt, looking at Gak, goes for the Earth Shatter, but
A
is
little too far
far
away.
away, and that is not the distance you're looking for. But man, never able to give it up. But another colossal blow going towards Nas, forcing the blink out on top, and with the Soul Force still available, not going to be it. It's going to have to force the slither away from Tarkraf Requiem, and once again inside this offlane, just an ultimate for ultimate trade.
Yeah, pressure keeps being there from Nas. No true decisive, like, I'm killing you or getting your tower or anything like that. It is just the exact classic matchup. Severick plays under his tower. Greystone tries to push him in, but it's just not gonna get far enough. And by the time he almost gets there, it's ultimate for ultimate, and we just get back to sort of a neutral state. Getting more items on the board, getting more gold. Eventually, it does work out that Greystone should get a little bit more gold and XP than Severo gets out of it, just because of the way you play under your tower. It's very hard to keep that controlled. And eventually the power level does outscale, but they still get it back at the same time. They still get to sort of keep up with one another. And now it's a little bit of a potential skirmish around this Fangbooth pit. They're looking for something as Wangle engages on the Samwise.
Forces to blink out though, as he was trapped into a very tight position and did not want to be there too long, as we saw 3 members closing on his position. Now, with the numbers advantage, with the blink down on Wangle, what is it going to do for InkLegend? He's going to force that mid lane pressure, or is he going to just try to go back to farming, as we still are waiting for the first neutral objective of this game to be called out? Zeyn on the work, on the hunt, might be able to hit that Riplash, and he does. The silence, double silence hits, and now Gap without a blink is going to go down. This might be the pressure they're looking for this first Fangtooth, as now they have the numbers.
Yeah, the only one that's hard to get there is Wangle. Wangle has both the Steel and the Bellica in between them if they want to get to that pit, but Import does not mind just going to that pit by themselves. I mean, why wouldn't you? You're a Feng Mao. You got plenty of damage. But Zeyn and JuliLatina will come help out. This has been spotted. I think that Rocket Rookies knows. The question is, are they going to do anything about it? Simmy is waiting for that knock up to go through the wall, try and stun and damage somebody, maybe get the last hit. Won't be able to do it, though. Going to be a first Fangtooth for Import's backpack, but the engagement's still happening.
Yeah, and the shield snap comes down, but completely misses as Import uses his Twinkle Toes to get out of there. And that's a lot of resource. Iron Blast goes down, but Gak is chasing after Wangle, hoping to get enough damage off, and the fight continues overall. But do you want to stay here this long? Simmy goes hard to clear up Import and knocks him down. They may lose the Fangtooth there, but pick up a kill.
Beautiful, get the elimination, still on the board. Finally, they find him. It was a very long time to try and get a hold of that Feng Mao, and he's a slippery little man. But that is the only thing they find. It is a trade. It's still a trade objective for elimination, but you want to get that Fangtooth over anything else. Nas, though, waiting in the jungle to try and get on Tarkov, is going to be spotted out by 2, and that is a 3v1. Are you going to get anything out of this, Nas, or are you going to have to ult and try and back your way out of this?
I mean, Stoneforge Soul is already out of the way. Tarkraf Requiem is low, though, but the colossal blow knocks him in the tower, and that is dead to rights. As one more time, Rocket Rookies be able to pick somebody on the board, but Decker rotating all the way across the map to make that happen.
Very much so. So it's going to be Gak alone in their tower. They've got enough damage to clear a lane on their own, though. Just have to be careful not to get riplashed. And they can just dash back out. Be helpful with that shadow form. Gak just going to be able to clear a couple of minions, sit cheerly, and get their next item component, because 670-80 gold is a pretty good shout to go get something.
Yes, and got kind of take that position best to back out here. The seismic stall does hit, but a little bit lower, and that Earth Shatter might come into the form here. Riplash misses, and close enough. Simmy is trying to run away, but the skewer hits, and that's going to clean it up. And these kills are coming one after over another, but here comes Samwise on the rotation on the containment fence. Zeyn in a bad position. InkLegend going to be able to take that as irrefutable damage, and now it's 1-for-1. And once again, as these teams are just back and forth.
That is that's going to be in 8-6 in kills now. They keep going back and forth. It is indeed the neutral objective lead, and just overall map pressure that does feel in the lead for Import's backpack. They're just not, ahead in kills, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Kills are going to matter more and more as we go later in the game, just in terms of how much they reward, how much they matter, like respawn timers, map control, etc. But with the first neutral objective down, now we're going to be looking towards mini prime. We're going to be looking towards those tier 1 towers. Like, who's going to get that map pressure down more? And vision game is going to be so important for them as well because these rotations have been so tight for both teams.
Yeah, I mean, they've just been going after every opportunity. But now that the game is back and ready again, we're going to continue on as the heat of the battle is continuing to be there. Do you see Samwise, though, looking over towards Julie? Any mistake here can clean that up.
Exactly. Samwise just pushing the tower a little bit. Little Decker with her staff just being more controlling than some ADCs are. Love seeing it. It's a good aggressive support play. And with, of course, Zeyn not being in the lane right now, a lot of pressure can be put out. They can try and get this tower a little bit more damage. They can put that pressure on. And again, like you said, no tier 1 towers have gone down yet. There's barely been more than 20-30% damage on any of them. So such an even game between these teams. This might actually be the most even that we've seen a game go so far this entire tournament.
Yeah, and I mean, with that damage coming out, Samwise actually looking to lurk towards Julie as he did hit that stasis ball looking pretty low. But that combination coming out of the Decker and the Kira is just so much. Able just to stand there for a little bit and the Vengeance passive being able to be stacked on. Do you see Nas though? Now Tarkraf Requiem kind of has the advantage trading into Nas a little bit better with Ink on the rotation, or sorry, Belica on the rotation over, forces that back on Nas.
We got it.
Dak and Samwise able to get that T1 on the retreat. And now these neutral objectives, starting with the towers, now starting to go down, opening up the map more for Rocket Rookies.
Yeah, beautiful. Getting that first tower out of the way. Now a little bit of pressure on the Belica in the mid lane. They will get her. Nice control with the concussion mine and the ultimate from Wangle, and a nice assist from Imports to get that going. Means a lot more space again being opened up on the map. We're going to be able to see a little bit more pressure being put forward on opposite lanes as the mini prime is under attack now. I wonder who's going to get it. I think they're going to give it to Import. That would be the more logical choice, but Tarkov is lurking. We'll just be watching though. Not going to be actually engaging on anything. It's going to be indeed the mini prime going on to Import. This Feng Mao is going to get scarier and scarier as this game goes on, and they are not behind, which is always the hallmark of an effective Feng Mao, not being behind. It's a really big deal. Doesn't sound like it. Of course it sounds like it, but it's a really big deal.
Yeah, of course there. And then we're gonna have to see where he uses that mini or prime pressure to be able to at least get some of these tier 1 towers down. As on the side of Import's backpack, they have not taken one down by this chance at all. And they're gonna need to open up this map a little bit more. Julie inside this duo lane, kind of back by himself. Not forced to use Stoneforge solo. He's fighting Tarkraf Requiem. And now with the advantage going over towards the Sev, he is chasing him down, but should be able to get out of there. They both have dashes. And Nas is going to have to take this retreat. And there's going to be a lot of pressure coming out from Nas. But here we see a lot of conversion into this mid lane. Sammy is going to be caught out once again. And the Whiplash hits from nowhere and cleans it up. But the shield slam in the back line is not going to keep this fight going, as Import is looking to go for something else. But no, Rocket Rookies are not done yet. Tarkraf is here looking for Zeyn. They are going to pop out the skewer, but it's not going to be enough. He gets a Whiplash to continue this fight, and Samwise goes down the back line as Drongo, Julie able to be in this fight. Health bars going down one by one, and there is another two, and that is going to be cleaning them up. Can he be able to get the last one? But Tarkov's going to be out of there. That's 4 members down on the side of Rocket Rookies.
They don't need elimination. They can send Tarkov back home, being the messenger of destruction, saying, you know what, you're the only survivor and you're going to let everyone know what happened to you. But Sammy's waiting. Sammy was trying to maybe get something. No, that tier 2 might just be going down before they can do anything about it. The minions are not quite there. No, they cannot do it just yet. But it's already taken so much damage. That will not take long to go down. And it's now Rocket Rookies. They're taking a firm control of this game, or at least trying to, as they are responding to the aggression that comes out from Import's backpack. And now what we got to start seeing from both of these teams is seeing where these wards are going to go, who actually gets the control. But the control of the jungle is firmly in the hand of Rocket Rookies, it looks like right now for Nas. The Stoneforge tool does come out. Is there reinforcements? Does Nas have to run? The running has been initiated, but Samwise is waiting on the other side with a containment fence, just exactly predicting where Nas was going to go. They have to run the other direction. I think they have lost them. I think they bamboozled correctly, but F6, that could have gone very wrong.
Has a lot of resources coming out of one character, but the fact that he's able to escape there was a great escape indeed. But now, second Fangtooth actually went over to Import's backpack while they were chasing Nas around the map, and now Import's backpack starting to build a tiny little snowball to try and see if they can push it downhill to get a little bit bigger than the Rocket Rookies do not want. But with this game still a little pretty close by, Import a little bit low mana here, decides to put this pressure on top of Tarkraf here on Severog. But with the little bit low mana he has, he might not be able to do too much. Subjugate hits kind of stops everything from going on, but Import says no, and he's going to keep trying to run away. But this is what the Severog does, is just kind of be a nuisance in that game. Once he's this far in, 20 minutes in with these items, he's just a big tanky boy.
Yeah, not enough eliminations or denial being put on the Severok in the early game, and now we get to the mid to late game. He's going to be a tanky boy. Towers will be going down very quickly now in succession, especially tier 1s, because those are the ones that are falling at the moment, but not really a clear lead from either of these teams still. We got that really big fight from Import getting almost everybody in Rocket Rookies, but they didn't really capitalize on more than a couple of towers here and there. We do see InkLegend now being under a lot of pressure. I don't think they're going to get out of this. Are they? The steal with the movement, with the shield slam? Nope. Import with the execute. That comes through, and Simmy has to run for the hills now.
Running around, but the pressure is still there, and Air Shatter misses due to the blink and a narrow escape. But over in the off lane, 1v1, and the battles keeps going on, and they're able to try and get inside here on Rocket Rookies. They want to peek, but with the number disadvantage, they just know it's not a smart move. As Nas is on the retreat here as well, but that was a great just overall fight coming in from the side of Import's backpack as they add another kill towards that, and they took down InkLegend. And with the steal being a little bit far behind right now compared to this Fang Mao, it's going to be a tough game for him. But here comes over Import, going to be looking towards Tarkov, and he's going to have to dash away. And with this lead going for Import's backpack, 20 minutes already in, when will do you think they'll pull this trigger over on top of this Orb Prime?
And they're looking for an opening to go for Orb Prime, right? Like, you're still looking at a sub-level 14 state of the game where if you go into that pit and the enemy finds you after, like, you're halfway through the health, you have to take a lot of damage from the Orb Prime, so you're going to be vulnerable and too vulnerable. So they're looking for these eliminations. They're looking for both the vision and the numbers advantage to be confident going for that Orb Prime. Right now, they're happy to just build out their control of the map a little bit more, put some extra wards down, make sure they're in a position to find a gank, to find elimination, and then go for a neutral objective, which so far they've gotten all of them, so they're not that worried yet.
I wouldn't be too worried either. Nas continuing to battle the Severog in this lane. It's just two big tank fights, not really too much of entertainment. But here outside the dual lane, a shrapnel blast comes out, but the containment fence stops it. They're able to pick up Julie on the side of the map, but with Import and Zeyn here, they choose to back off. And InkLegend getting back into this game, getting active to try and bring that Rocket Rookies back to at least an even state.
And it is where the power currently for Rocket Rookies has been lying, in that dual lane. Not like JuliLatina isn't doing a great job, like it's fairly even, but at least it looks like Rocket Rookies are slightly ahead in that lane. They're even on towers, but, you know, in terms of CS, in terms of how much value both the ADCs have gotten, Gak has been doing a really good job of keeping up, if not keeping ahead of JuliLatina.
Stasis ball hits, and so there's a shield slam. Import's gonna have to try and get out of there, but the CC lock in the neural disruptor to make that kill clean as the third Fangtooth is coming up. That's not what you want.
It definitely isn't, no. And it's that. It's exactly the opposite of what Import's backpack was looking for. They were looking to take a lead in numbers and then go for a neutral objective like a Fangtooth or the Orb Prime. Now they're in the negative, and they also don't have their jungler, so they don't have that smite around. With InkLegend oversteps a little bit. They're now a little bit in trouble. Might be taken out. Chase is coming through, but it's just an odd skirmish, and there goes Gak!
And he's back in here trying to get the damage off, but Wangle says no, not today, as Samwise and Gak goes down. But here comes the big Seth, but Nas is here as well with a huge rotation. And you thought the fight was over, but Import's backpack has a little bit more tricks in that backpack as theirs is to keep the pressure on. Nas might going to be able to dive here. He does have Stoneforge Soul as they put the pressure on. It's now quite of the storm. Riplash misses, but it's been enough time. InkLegend has come back. This might have been the trade they need to make to score up to this third Fangtooth, but it's going to be a huge battle for this one.
Yeah, they really both want this. I mean, it's not the primal Fangbooth. It's not as bad, but still, you want this third one. You want that neutral objective. You want that control. And also, they just want to fight so they can maybe get controlled that way. A lot of low health bars, though, in Import's backpack. Any move here from Rocket Rookies could be detrimental. They find a Fangbooth, though.
They do find it indeed, and now Steel's in a bad position. He's going to get cleaned right on up, and the pressure still goes back. And Nas in the back line, creating disruption. Stoneforge Soul comes in handy, and he takes down Simmy one more time. That's 2 members now down for the count on the side of Rocket Rookies as Import's backpack look to spread this lead over to the entire rest of the game. Gak and Chase,
so
though.
Crazy. You see all these health bars. They were already like that before that engagement even started for Import's backpack, and they didn't go much lower than they were, other than Nas, who used the Stoneforge Soul. Nas now finds Tarkov, wants to find this elimination. Doesn't have the ultimate. I think Tarkov should know this, but they don't feel like they have enough damage to actually take it, and they might be scared of other characters being in, like teammates of Nas being in the vicinity. But that was crazy, the fact that Import's backpack stakes that out. And we talked about it at the beginning of the game. We talked about the amount of CC, the amount of health bar that's on the side of Rocket Rookies. But it doesn't matter how big your health bar is as long as it goes to 0. Like, the real skill is in how, no matter how big your health bar is, in not letting it go to 0. And currently, that is a skill that Import's backpack is executing a lot better than Rocket Rookies.
Yeah, we take a look at the scoreboard there. Import's backpack definitely has the lead. But one interesting thing we saw, though, is that Basilisk Sky Splitter into an Unbroken Will on Nas here on the Greystone. Now, this is kind of speaking out to me, but like, can you tell me a little bit more about that? Because I'm trying to see this vision here.
Unbroken Will is not a question mark to me at all. I mean, we see how much CC there is. He's been playing against the Severog all game. Hasn't even run into the Steel and the Bellica that much, let alone the Decker. But as soon as you start running into these team fights that are happening more and more now, you gotta have something to fight against that CC. Unbroken Will, pretty much one of the best items for that purpose. And again, that's the reason why it's being picked up, right? It is looking like a lot more of a damaging Greystone rather than a stasis.
And then here comes InkLegend trying to get on top of Wangle here. He's trying to get out of the way, forces the blade, but now Gak caught out in a bad position herself. But InkLegend's here, and Import with 1 HP in a dream, and Gak picks that one up. So he is down for the count. And Doi has tried to just change towards that side, but here comes Julie, and now has the CC in his kick belt, because Seismic Assault lands. JuliLatina with a 1 HP, but actually turns it around on Simmy, and he goes down here. Nas on the rotation, though, to bring it in this fight. Tarkraf's trying to get back into this fight as well. But now with InkLegend with such low HP, Samwise, not a lot of damage coming out of the rest that remains for Rocket Rookies. But Gak is going to say otherwise. He cleans up Zeyn sitting out in the open, and now this is the advantage going towards Import, or going towards Rocket Rookies as they look towards Import's backpack, trying to finish this out. Nas by himself, though, does have Stoneforge Soul, but he does not have the damage behind to follow that up. It's going to come out of the way, and now with that out of the way, now comes the blink. Then on the chase, the colossal blow. My, oh my, he's going to break down, and Julie's going to go down as well, but not for nothing as she trades out Tarkraf there, and that is just a bloodbath, a mid-lane massacre.
That could have been so much more for Gak, but they fell off the high ground into the river and even used their ultimate in there, so nothing landed, and Nas just got to walk out for free. Still found that extra elimination, but could have been more. Gak maybe kicking themselves a little bit for that, but they lived throughout the entire engagement, got elimination from the top rope. They were in a great spot, and they are the ADC now between these two teams. And Rocket Rookies, I mean, yeah, I think overall that looks to be a fight win for them. I mean, both teams traded out a little bit here and there, but definitely Rocket Rookies gaining a little bit more out of that than Import's backpack did. We do have to see it transfer a little bit more into map control, though, because still the neutral objectives, the towers, it's all in favor of Import's backpack. And we were talking about the items a little bit more. That was, you know, a little bit more of what you saw there. Nas being able to live a little bit more throughout all the CC. Unbroken Will is really coming into play already.
Yeah, and it just has a little bit of a damage online with that Sky Splitter Basilisk able to
Mm.
run, even though it's single target, able to run some of these members down. But I do agree with you there that map control needs to be a little bit more into consideration as these fights are being taken, as we need a little bit to see the wards are placed around on the mid lane side, not too
Looking
much
pretty good.
directly on the objective though, so possibly be able to sneak over a wall if unable to get to. But we're going to see which one of these objectives each teams are looking towards.
I think it is really telling when you look at the wards, though, that it is still a very even game. There's been so many games where, at this point in time, one team would have such a lead that there's just wards all over the enemy red or blue jungle, and that's not the case here.
Not at all, but we do see though these offlaners are going at it with Nas being 2 levels up though. Tarkraf does not want to take that fight. We do see Imports Backpack starting to group up, and so as well as Rocket Rookies. They're both now setting their eyes over on this left-hand side of the map, looking at this Fangtooth. What do these Rocket Rookies need to do here to kind of give themselves the advantage? They're still a little bit behind, but they need to try and get a little bit more into their pockets, a little bit more lead to try and get themselves back on point. Because if Imports Backpack takes a good fight, it's definitely going to go in the way of Imports Backpack from what we've seen thus far.
Yeah, I mean, Rocket Rookies are still the team that if they get into an area, they can control that area. So they need to start getting to these neutral objectives and these locations where fights start before and kind of set up their control, their area, their this is where we fight, this is ours. If you come in here, we will punish you. And so far, the onus has mostly been on Import's Backpack to engage, to be in Fangtooth pits earlier, and all that sort of thing. And Rocket Rookies is not exploiting their essentially their CC, but also a little bit of their health pool advantage.
And here comes the Howie mine, though, and instant damage coming out. And they pick up Samwise in the back line. The Riplash hits and connects, and this might be another body as it goes down. Nas dive in the back line. In the meantime, though, and is able to pick up a third kill for Import's Backpack, and that is what they needed to get that pressure as they look towards a neutral objective here.
And again, it's Import's Backpack making the move, getting to the area first, setting up their engage, their ambush, their surprise attack, and they're going to get a prime Fangtooth as a result. And Rocket Rookie is just behind in every single sense of the word. It's map control, it's objectives, it's eliminations, and it's also just timing, just arriving at a location. Low health bars now on the side of Import's Backpack, which not the first time when they've done an objective, but again, there's no one to capitalize on Rocket Rookies. This time, just because most of them are dead, don't get me wrong, but the last time as well, pretty much everyone in Import's Backpack was half health after or even during taking a Fangtooth, and nothing got taken from Rocket Rookies as a result. And that is the part that's missing. It's that part of capitalizing on health bars, positioning, locations of fights, and just timing as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, I could not agree more there. But with Import's Backpack, with that primordial of Fangtooth, now has that burn, that blaze, which we all know is just such a strong buff to have. And then on top of that, they not only have the 3 that you need to have that permanent buff, now you have 4. As Import looks to get aggressive, he is not scared of anything, trying to just get that bleed damage out. Zeyn now peeking through, waiting for the prime opportunity here, as Import's Backpack has the advantage inside this void. But goes in. Riplash actually connects his in a shield rush, kind of pushes back, but now they're in a tight corridor. Aeon Blast comes down and blows up. Wang is absolutely destroyed, but here comes Import in the back line as they're now able to clean up a 2-for-1. Import is just causing a wreck and menace as he goes in into Earth Shatter, picks up another 2, but the Riplash unable to connect, and that is a 4-for-1 trade, and that is a good trade if you're Import's Backpack.
And now the choice is, do we go Orb Prime or do we push the towers? Import's definitely going to be pushing towers, but the rest of the team looks to be moving towards that Orb Prime pit, and they want to kind of just do both. A little bit of both. A little bit of Orb Prime, a little bit of inhibitor damage. Nope, it is a turnaround. But they got the tier 2 on mid, which is a good thing. And there's no doubt they're going to be able to pick this up, because no one except for that Bellica will be here on time. Are they going to even try and potentially steal it? They shouldn't,
I mean,
right?
there's not much you can do. I mean,
They're 8 or too late, but also it's just so risky.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much they can do there with now 2 buffs, even though Primordial Fangtooth is coming up short here any moment now. Wangle did die, but he's going to be able to come back with a buffed up team as Import's Backpack are looking to go towards the inhibs now, maybe potentially pushing towards the core as we see now these items are rounding out the builds of both teams.
And once again, the only character that really is not as far ahead as maybe they should be is JuliLatina on this Drongo. Like the ADC battle has been very even, and it is a very big silver lining, and also just light to look towards for the rest of the series. Focusing on that dual lane, seeing if they can get some more advantage out of that, because so far it's all been duo mid and solo mid and jungle that has been making the difference in every sense of the word, obviously. But now they're in the mid lane. They've got the Aura Prime buff. Wangle's the one that doesn't, of course, because they were they're dead while they're being taken. But they
Mm.
are going to be able to push forward with a four Prime buff, with the minions being buffed, pushing all the lanes at the same time, getting the tier 2 towers, maybe even an inhibitor damaged. This is the time. This is where Import's backpack wants to make a move because they've got that buff, and Import actually goes past the tower, wants to get into a better position to cut the wave.
Yeah, he kind of just trying to clear this wave a little bit faster, giving himself an advantage, maybe get that wave to stack up a little bit more. As they do get the buff on, it's a 1-3-1 split here, looking to use this lawnmower technique, swiping from left to right or from right to left, getting down as much pressure as possible. Nice little siege going on. As now we're just waiting for the prime opportunity. Maybe a Howie boot might be able to come out, but Gak actually gets caught out in a bad position as Nas is able to pick up the kill on Gak. InkLegend tries to save the day with a shield slam, but it's not enough. And now this is where things start to turn back towards the side of Import's backpack here, as they're just able to push on ahead. There's a lot of damage being brought out. Over on left-hand side, though, there's another inhib going down. There's still 4 members left, though, and might not be a lot, as Import goes in and finishes off InkLegend with the Earth Shatter. And with that being said, they're trying to finish this game on the side of Import's backpack. They don't have a lot of minion wave, though, but they do have the damage and they do have the numbers, and they're battling us out. Requiem trying to stay alive, but the epoch from Wangle able to save the day, and that is going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. GG's.